Feeding a baby sounds simple until you're actually in it. Standing over a stove at 9 at night, trying to steam and mash sweet potato while a hungry, tired infant is losing patience by the second. The truth is, the right gadgets can turn baby food prep from a daily chore into something that barely takes any thought at all, saving you time, money, and a genuinely surprising amount of stress. From smarter storage to all-in-one steaming and blending machines, the baby food industry has quietly gotten really good at solving problems parents didn't even know they had until they tried the right tool. Number 9. Silicone freezer trays with lids. Starting off at number 9 are silicone freezer trays with lids, and while they look almost too simple to make a real difference, they end up being one of the most quietly essential tools in any baby food routine. The concept is straightforward. You make a batch of puree, whether that's steamed carrots, mashed banana, or a blended chicken and vegetable mix. Then pour it into individual portion cavities, freeze it solid, and pop out perfectly sized cubes whenever you need them. What makes the silicone version genuinely better than old-fashioned ice cube trays is the flexibility of the material itself, since silicone can be twisted and flexed to pop out frozen cubes cleanly without them cracking or sticking, something that rigid plastic trays consistently struggle with, especially with denser purees like avocado or lentils that tend to grip stubbornly to hard plastic surfaces. Most modern silicone trays also come with a snap-on lid, which solves the freezer burn problem that plagues open trays left uncovered overnight, keeping each portion tasting fresh for weeks instead of picking up that stale, freezer-affected flavor after just a few days. The portion sizes themselves are deliberately designed around a baby's actual eating capacity, usually somewhere between 1 and 2 ounces per cube, which means you're not thawing out more food than your baby will actually eat and then throwing the rest away, a problem that wastes a surprising amount of money over months of feeding. Because the trays are stackable, you can build up a genuinely deep freezer stockpile during a single big cooking session on a weekend. Then just grab exactly as many cubes as you need each day for the week ahead, defrosting only what's necessary. Many parents batch cook 6 or 7 different purees, reusable squeeze pouches, a gadget that solves one of the most annoying and expensive parts of feeding a baby on the go: store-bought pouches. Anyone who's fed a baby regularly knows how quickly the cost of disposable food pouches adds up, often $2 to $3 each, multiple times a day, which can genuinely balloon into a significant monthly expense over the course of a year. Reusable pouches flip that entire equation by letting you fill them yourself with whatever puree you've already made at home, whether that's a leftover batch from your freezer stash or something fresh blended that morning, and then simply wash and refill them again once they're empty, essentially eliminating that ongoing cost after the initial purchase. Most modern reusable pouches use a wide mouth opening at the bottom specifically designed to make filling easy, often paired with a small funnel or filling stand that holds the pouch upright and keeps it steady while you spoon or pour puree in, which sounds like a small detail, but makes an enormous difference compared to trying to awkwardly squeeze food into a narrow top opening the way older reusable pouch designs required. The nozzle at the top typically uses a simple twist lock or flip cap mechanism that seals tightly enough to prevent leaking in a diaper bag, something that matters enormously to any parent who's experienced the specific horror of pulling out a leaked pouch from the bottom of a bag full of other baby gear. Because you control exactly what goes inside, reusable pouches also let you avoid the added sugars, thickeners, or preservatives that sneak into some store-bought baby food pouches, giving you full transparency over ingredients while still keeping the same convenient, mess-free eating format that babies and toddlers generally respond well to, especially once they're old enough to hold manual baby food melt. A genuinely clever hand crank tool that solves a specific and common problem, making smooth, safe purees out of foods that don't blend well in a regular blender or food processor. Foods like peas, corn, or berries contain tough skins and small seeds that most blenders simply chop up into tiny sharp fragments rather than actually removing, which can be a choking or digestion concern for younger babies who need completely smooth textures. A food mill works completely differently from a blender, using a hand crank to press cooked food through a fine mesh disc, physically separating out skins, seeds, and fibrous bits while pushing the soft, edible flesh through into a smooth, seedless puree underneath. This makes it genuinely essential for parents who want to feed their babies fresh berries, peas, or even fibrous fruits like pears without spending ages hand straining everything through a sieve with a spoon. Most quality food mills come with multiple interchangeable discs offering different mesh coarseness, so you can adjust the final texture as your baby grows, starting with an extremely fine setting for a very young baby, just beginning solids, then switching to a coarser disc later on to introduce slightly thicker, more textured food as their eating skills develop. Because it's fully manual, with no motor or electrical parts involved, a food mill also tends to be remarkably durable, often lasting through years of regular use without any part wearing out or breaking down. And it's simple enough to disassemble completely for a thorough wash after every use. It's also genuinely useful beyond just baby food, since many parents continue using it well past. Number 6. Suction bowls with divided compartments. A deceptively simple gadget that solves one of the most universally frustrating parts of feeding a baby: the bowl sliding, tipping, or getting flipped entirely across the room mid-meal. These bowls use a strong suction base on the bottom, usually made from soft silicone, that creates a genuine vacuum seal against a smooth surface like a high-chair tray or table, holding the bowl firmly in place even against the enthusiastic, uncoordinated hand swatting and pushing that most babies and toddlers naturally do while eating. That stability alone dramatically reduces mess and wasted food, since instead of a bowl of pureed sweet potato ending up on the floor after one determined shove, it stays exactly where you put it, letting your baby actually focus on eating rather than accidentally launching their meal across the kitchen. The divided compartments add another genuinely useful layer, letting you serve 2 or 3 different foods in the same bowl without them touching or mixing together, which matters more than it might sound like, since a lot of babies and toddlers go through phases of refusing to eat foods that have touched other foods on the plate. Having separate sections also makes it easier to offer variety at every meal: a bit of protein, a vegetable, and a starch, all served at once without needing 3 separate dishes and 3 times the cleanup. Most quality suction bowls are made from food-grade silicone, which is naturally BPA-free, flexible enough to survive being thrown or dropped without cracking, and safe for both the microwave and dishwasher, making reheating and cleanup genuinely fast. The suction mechanism itself is usually removable or built to fresh food feeder, mesh feeder. The fresh food feeder, often called a mesh feeder, a small handheld tool that lets babies safely explore fresh fruits and vegetables without any real choking risk, even before they have teeth or fully developed chewing skills. The design is simple but genuinely clever. A small mesh or silicone pouch attaches to a handle, and you place a piece of fresh food inside, whether that's a chunk of apple, a frozen strawberry, or a piece of steamed sweet potato. Then let the baby gnaw, suck, and mash the food against the mesh material. As the baby works on it, small manageable amounts of flavor and softened food pass through the tiny mesh openings, while the mesh itself physically blocks any large piece from breaking off and becoming a choking hazard, which makes it an enormously reassuring tool for anxious first-time parents navigating the early stages of introducing solid textures. Beyond the safety benefit, fresh food feeders are genuinely great for actual development, since the sucking and gnawing motion helps babies build up the oral motor strength and coordination they'll eventually need for chewing solid food, essentially functioning as a kind of safe practice run for real eating. It's also an excellent tool during teething, since many parents fill the mesh pouch with frozen fruit specifically to create a cold, soothing sensation against sore gums, turning a feeding tool into a teething aid at the same time. Silicone versions have generally overtaken the older mesh fabric designs, since fabric mesh can be genuinely difficult to clean thoroughly and tends to retain odors and bacteria over repeated uses, while silicone feeders can be. Electric Baby Food Steamer Blender. The Electric Baby Food Steamer Blender, a category of gadget that fundamentally changes how much time and effort goes into homemade baby food by combining 2 separate cooking steps into a single machine. Traditionally, making a smooth vegetable or fruit puree meant steaming ingredients on the stovetop in one pot, then transferring everything into a separate blender or food processor to actually puree it, which meant extra dishes, extra time, and extra opportunity for mess. A steamer blender eliminates that entire back and forth by using one machine, with a steaming basket built directly above or within the same unit as the blending blade. So you load in your chopped vegetables or fruit, run the steam cycle until everything is soft, and then either flip the machine or press a button to immediately blend everything into a smooth puree without ever touching a second pot or appliance. This single-step process typically takes somewhere between 15 and 25 minutes from raw ingredient to finished puree, which is remarkably fast considering it includes both the cooking and the blending in that window. Many models also use the leftover steaming liquid as part of the blending process, adding it back in to thin the puree to the right consistency, which conveniently retains water-soluble vitamins and nutrients that would otherwise be poured down the drain if you cooked and blended separately using fresh water each time. Higher-end steamer blenders often include additional functions beyond basic steaming and blending, like a defrost setting for quickly thawing frozen puree cubes, a reheat function for warming up a single serving, and sometimes even a sterilizing cycle for bottles. Number 3. Silicone Catch-All Bibs. A gadget that looks almost too simple to matter until you've actually watched how much food a baby manages to fling, drop, and smear during a single meal. Unlike traditional cloth bibs, which mostly just protect clothing while letting dropped food fall straight onto the floor or high chair tray, a catch-all bib features a wide, scoop pocket built directly into the bottom, specifically designed to physically catch food as it falls rather than letting it disappear onto the floor. That pocket shape makes an enormous practical difference during self-feeding stages, when babies are dropping food constantly as they experiment with grabbing, pinching, and maneuvering pieces toward their mouth, since instead of losing half the meal to the floor, a surprising amount of it actually lands safely in the bib pocket and can be scooped back up and offered again. The silicone material itself is a major upgrade over old-fashioned plastic-backed cloth bibs, since it's naturally waterproof, wipes completely clean with just a damp cloth or quick rinse, and doesn't absorb stains or odors from foods like beets, blueberries, or tomato sauce the way fabric inevitably does over repeated washes. Most silicone catch-all bibs also feature an adjustable neckline, usually through a simple snap or notch system, which lets the same bib fit comfortably as a baby grows from their earliest days of starting solids all the way through active toddlerhood, extending the useful lifespan of a single bib considerably longer than a single-size cloth alternative. The soft, flexible material also tends to be genuinely portable high chair/booster seat with feeding tray. The portable high chair or booster seat with an attached feeding tray, and while it might not sound as specifically food-focused as some of the other gadgets on this list, its impact on daily feeding routines is genuinely enormous. Full-sized high chairs are bulky, difficult to travel with, and often awkward to clean thoroughly around all their joints and crevices, which is exactly the gap that portable booster seats with built-in trays are designed to fill. These seats typically strap securely onto any standard dining chair, instantly turning it into a stable, properly sized feeding spot for a baby or toddler, without needing a dedicated piece of furniture taking up permanent space in the kitchen. The attached tray gives babies a consistent, contained surface for their food and utensils, which matters enormously for keeping mess controlled and giving a baby a clear boundary for their meal rather than reaching across an entire adult table. Because these seats fold down flat or compact significantly for storage and transport, they've become essential for parents who travel, visit family regularly, or eat out at restaurants that don't reliably have baby seating available, letting you bring consistent, safe seating wherever you go rather than gambling on whatever the venue happens to have. Most trays are made from easy white plastic or silicone-coated material specifically chosen to handle spills and food residue without staining or retaining odors, and many detach completely for a full rinse or dishwasher cleaning after particularly messy meals. The safety harness built into most designs keeps an active, wiggly baby securely in place throughout the meal, which reduces the constant readjusting and safety concerns that come with using an all-in-one baby food maker station. And that brings us to number 1, the single most genuinely life-changing baby food gadget on this list, the all-in-one baby food maker station. This is essentially the evolution of the steamer blender we covered earlier, taking that same core steam and blend concept and expanding it into a comprehensive feeding hub that handles nearly every step of the baby food process in one compact countertop appliance. A true all-in-one station typically combines steaming, blending, reheating, defrosting, and sometimes even bottle warming and sterilizing functions into a single unit, meaning a parent can take raw vegetables straight from the fridge, steam them, blend them into a smooth puree, and portion them out without ever touching a stovetop, a separate blender, or a microwave. What makes this the top pick on the entire list is how it eliminates decision fatigue and appliance clutter at the same time, since instead of juggling a steamer, a blender, a bottle warmer, and a sterilizer as 4 separate pieces of equipment scattered around the kitchen, everything happens through one interface, usually with simple pre-programmed buttons for specific tasks like a 15-minute steam and blend cycle for fresh puree or a quick reheat cycle for a frozen cube pulled straight from the freezer. Most higher-end models include a genuinely thoughtful range of accessories, like multiple-sized blending jars for single servings versus larger batches, a dedicated basket specifically designed to steam without direct water contact so nutrients aren't leached out during cooking, and app connectivity in some smart versions that lets parents